Hey everyone, welcome to another video. So today I'm going to be doing Cassiopeia. I haven't put out a video in a little while, so I've been spending a lot of time playing Cassiopeia over the last few days. I've played, I think, 25 games of Cassio in the last 3 days, like 2.5 days actually. So it's going to be a good one. There's a lot of information in this one, so stay tuned. First of all, guys, we're going to be talking about the runes and summoner choice. So I've done a lot of testing here. And so there's two differing rune pages that you need to take in differing situations. So first of all, when you're in any matchup that is similar range or low range matchup, for example, you know, versing a champion like Yasuo or even Zoe who's similar range to you, or Ryze or something like that, you should be looking to go Conqueror. And you want to be going Conqueror whenever you can, because Presence of Mind is so good on Cassio. So you want to be going Conqueror, Presence of Mind into Legend Tenacity, finish it off with Coup de Grace, and then in secondary, Ravenous, Hunter, and Taste of Blood. And the reason you get Ravenous, Hunter, and Taste of Blood is because your sustained damage gives you so much healing through, you know, once you get into like early, like into mid game, it's really nuts. So let's just say hypothetically you're versing a high range counter pick. Say you've got someone who counters you like a Syndra or a Victor, something along those lines. I'll recommend actually going Phase Rush and secondary domination with the same Taste of Blood, Ravenous Hunter. And I've spoken to a few players and high elo players, actually a few pro players, about Cassiopeia, and they kind of agree that Phase Rush, when you're in a crappy matchup, is really helpful, because then you can take short trades and then back out, because you're not going to be able to take those long extended trades anyway. And it just helps for laning phase as well, since you can just sit there, start with Corrupting Pot instead of Doran's Ring, and kind of get through that early portion of the lane. So, diving straight into build, guys. There's pretty much two options with level 1. If you're taking Conqueror and playing in any average, like 50-50 matchup or favorable matchup, I recommend going Doran's Ring. But if you're in a tough matchup, like I said before, just start Corrupting Pot. Then you want to be going into tier, finishing your Archangels, and then go into Rylai's, and then into Liandry's, and then again you can finish off that build however you like. You can go depending on the game state. Maybe you need more Magic Pen for Void Staff, need more AP, go Rabadons, or maybe you need Azonias or whatever. Again, it just really depends on the game state. And so that's like the standard build path. Obviously, there are going to be variations. If you're versing a very AD-oriented composition, you want to be getting an early Seekers. If you're versing a very AP-oriented team, maybe you want to get an early Banshees. But I recommend highly that you want to be getting tier early regardless. Next, guys, we're going to be talking about matchups. So I'm actually going to start with the bad matchups. And I'm not going to go through every single champion in the game. If you have more questions about matchups, you can ask me in the Discord in the comments below. But I think these are a few great ones to highlight the identity behind Cassio. So first of all, bad matchups. These are all matchups that outrange Cassio and make sure she can't take any extended long trade with your E. So these are like Syndra is the biggest hard counter. Victor's a hard counter. I'd say Orianna's actually a really good matchup into Cassio. Kassadin's really good into Cassio, and Anivia. All these champions really shut down Cassio's ability to take those extended trades, and it makes it very hard to lane. And in my VOD today, I actually do one matchup that is like 50-50 or slash good matchup, and then I actually go through a Cassio versus Kassadin matchup on the back end of it to show you how you would navigate a tough matchup. So stay tuned, guys. Next, there's 50-50 jungle dependent matchups. I would say these are most matchups that you're very similar range. So, you know, this is actually most matchups for Cassiopeia, because she actually doesn't hard counter many champions. She's just a very super reliable mid-mage. So these are matchups like Zoe, Akali, Kiana, Ryze, TF, Malzahar. All these champions with similar range, but, you know, like the reason I put a champion like Kiana in here though, and why I wouldn't put her in as a good into Kiana, is because she has too much threat on you. She can actually just, you know, if you mess up your miasma once, she can just kill you 100-0. I feel like she's actually a bit of a 50-50 matchup depending on the jungle, like the junglers in the game. And then there's the great matchups. There's not many of these great matchups, but these are the ones that are like kind of low range champions that you can kind of kite out and beat in those long extended trades, such as like LeBlanc. I think is actually you're pretty good into LeBlanc, Echo, Diana, Ari, Vlad, Zed. I think if you play Cassio at the highest level, Cassio is really good into these style of champions, because you can shut them down with your miasma, and you can take some really good trades as long as you get through the early laning phase and get your blue buff. You can be pumping them in those long extended trades. So guys, we're going to start off this video with, first of all, is a VOD of Cassio versus LeBlanc, and then a second VOD, which is Cassio versus Kassadin. In the second VOD, I'm only going to go through portions of it just to try and show you how I would navigate it, and so if you guys get counted, how you guys can potentially go about it. So sit back and make sure you got a notepad if you want to take some notes, and stay tuned. So guys, diving straight into this VOD here, This is a Cassio versus LeBlanc. I have a Zac jungle. They have a Poppy jungle. So me thinking already, something you should, again, already be thinking about straight away is your game plan. And always get asked, how do you create your game plan level 1? How do you know what to do with the wave level 1? And in my channel, I really emphasize the importance of knowing what to do with your wave level 1. So in this game, since Poppy's not, an early ganking jungler at all, she doesn't really have much threat onto me. I know that it's just mainly going to be an isolated 1v1. In this case, I need to be thinking about how does my matchup affect how I want to achieve my first objective. So putting it out there, the first objective you want to complete on Cassio is get a safe base for your tier, which is 850 gold, especially when you're starting Dorans. So that's my first objective. So given I want to do that, how should I navigate this lane? So if I push, say I start pushing this wave early, and maybe LeBlanc hits level 2, I hit level 2, I know that my mana, I only have 350 mana. I know that I'm not going to be able to outtrade this this LeBlanc in long trades, since Cassiopeia is a very long trade oriented champion. So in the early game, you don't actually have the mana pool to win those extended trades. You're just going to take short trades and you're going to lose them. So I'm thinking, okay, well, I know that I don't want the wave in this position because, LeBlanc is really good at taking those short trades. I know that I can't take long trades. The wave's going to be stuck here. I'm going to be scared. LeBlanc can actually set up ganks with me, even though it's Poppy jungle with chain because I didn't take cleanse. It's going to be a rough time. So what I want LeBlanc to do is actually push me in. And then ideally, the game plan is if I get pushed in, thin it as it's coming into me, then it's going to be able to bounce back, and hopefully I can ride that bounce wave out to get my 850 gold and reset. And the next thing I'm thinking about is I have teleport, he has ignite. That's a very important thing to think about because if I get him pinned in lane, I can come back and teleport and he's completely screwed. So straight away, guys, notice how I'm not touching the wave at all. And this is what I recommend in a lot of matchups because, again, you really want to get your tier. And I find a lot of Cassiopeias when I watch, and when I originally started playing Cassio, I'll just start hitting the wave or start trading E for E and just try and chase him down and burn heaps of my mana pool. That doesn't actually achieve anything. All it does is make me want to base earlier and potentially not even make my 850 gold for tier. So again, if he auto attacks the minions, I'm going to auto attack the minions. That's because I just want to keep it in the middle / slightly pushing to me. Then I realized I'm slightly pushing to him because I auto-attacked it too many times. So what I actually wanted to do there, notice why did I randomly take this trade out of nowhere? I walked up right next to the minions, forced him to take the W trade onto me, and his W actually hit all these minions. So everything you do in mid lane, guys, has to have an intention. I wouldn't have taken this trade if I didn't need to. But I know I needed him to hit these minions, and I know I needed him to push to me because I kind of screwed up level 1 a little bit here. So then we take this trade, I weave my auto attacks in. That's another huge tip on Cassio, guys, especially when you're playing Conqueror Cassio. Just to highlight this one, notice how when we take this, he takes the W trade onto me and I follow up with E's. Notice how I just don't E. I E auto. Ready? Auto attack, E, auto attack, E, auto attack, bang. So that trade ended up being okay for me, but again, notice how, yes, it's an even trade, but again, he has more sustain than me. He has biscuits and corrupting pot, and I know I need to stay in lane for such a long time compared to him. He can just base for a Dark Seal where I really don't want to do that. So now I know it's going to be pushing to me, so I'm just trying to thin it a little bit so it doesn't get out of control. So I know it's already pushing to me right now. So I'm really happy with this so far. This is in waves, it's in a decent spot. And I had to use one health pot just to stay a little bit healthy. But yeah, I know it's pushing to me, so it's not a big deal here. So again, when you're playing mid, you always need to be thinking about your first objective. You always need to be thinking about the identity of how you want to play your lane. When I've been doing coaching, I always see people get themselves into really crappy positions because they don't know what they're doing in terms of their champion. They don't know what they're playing for. So they just take trades for no reason. So really try to think about when you go into these games. And again, he takes these trades. And look at this. Notice how, guys, I'm tethering him. I'm really staying really far back. So if he does hit me, I'm staying all the way far back here. These minions are all going to start to hit him, which means his minions are even going to push harder into me. And it means he's just going to take a really crappy trade. So I'm happy to take this trade if he wants to take that. I'm just thinning it as much as I can. And I'm walking up here knowing that he doesn't have W and getting sneaky little E's to last hit because he used his W on me. So I know it would be on cooldown. At the moment, I'm actually up in CS because there's more minions on his side and we actually have EM in CS. So I'm pretty happy with that as well. And notice that this is really good. It's going to crash into me. He can't really punish me under tower. The only downside of this strategy, and this is a big weakness of Cassio, is that Cassio's such a weak early Rift Scuttle fight. Scuttle Crab fight, sorry. Because think about this, if there's a Scuttle fight right now, I mean, I'm just going to go so quickly. I don't really do much damage. I have no mobility. I'm super immobile. I'm very vulnerable. I don't want to go to this fight. So generally, you just want your jungler just to trade scuttles at this point in the game, knowing that I really don't want to fight to break out. And the good thing about Cassio, when the waves crash into your tower, it's really easy for you to CS under tower with your E and your Q. And you really want to minimize the amount of Qs that you're using in lane in the early game. I actually learned this from a pro player I was talking to about Cassio, and he was saying the biggest problem because I was versing him a lot in solo queue, and he said the biggest problem I see when you play Cassio is you use Q too much in the early game, and because it's so, you should only be using Q when you're willing to follow up with E. Just using Q on its own does no damage or very little damage, and it's not very mana efficient. So try and only use Q. You only see me use Q when I know I'm going to try and take an extended trade, or I need it to CS a few minions. And I pinged LeBlanc a lot when the wave was crashing because I did not want to contest anything into river here. And now look at this. This wave all crashed in, it crashed into my tower, and now it's on its way out. Now I'm thinking, okay, I'm looking at my gold, 662 gold. I'm getting close to my tier. So now what I want to do ideally is start to play a little bit more aggressive, use the fact that I'm going to have a minion advantage in a second when my next wave crashes, and then push this in and reset for my tier. That's what I really want to do. And this is what I recommend in so many matchups. You can do, it's not just versus LeBlancs, versus a lot of close range matchups. Let them push in level 1 and 2, level 3, let it come to your tower, bounce it back out, then reset for tier. Notice, guys, and the other reason not using Q early game too much is because when you go this specific tree, you're going Conqueror, which means you're not taking Mana Flow Band. A lot of other mages take Mana Flow Band, which you can usually say, if I was taking Mana Flow, say I was going Phase Rush, I would actually try and occasionally poke with my Q just to proc my Mana Flow. But since I've gone the Scaling route, I've gone Conqueror, like using Q randomly is really not going to do anything. And now, again, hit less last hitting minions with my E, pushing this out. Now notice how I've got my minion advantage. I'm auto attacking the minions a little bit more. If he takes these trades, it's really good for me because he's not hitting the minions. And look at this, he goes into me like this. I'm standing behind the minion, so it's really hard for him to E me. And then next, I know that he doesn't want to take any more trades, so I know I can just Q here because I know he wants to abort mission out of this trade. So I just Q there, bang, and try and chase him down with ease. I get one E, but then he gets his corrupting pot, so he gets a bit of movement speed here. It's fine for me. Now I'm just going to continually push this wave in, and look how good this is for me. I'm getting 800 gold now, getting very close to my tier. I'm pushing this out. He doesn't have teleport, and I do. And I have this huge wave stacked up. LeBlanc and a lot of mid-mages are really bad at clearing waves like that. And now I just base. Look at this. He's going to struggle to use all his, he's going to use all his mana on trying to clear this wave. It's crashing into the tower, and now I get a free reset. And I actually don't. I buy a pink ward in my tier. And look at this. Since he can't really shove the wave out, I don't even need to TP. I end up just walking and saving my TP. So I get a full free reset as Cassiopeia into LeBlanc here. I got a full free reset. Look at that. And now he's stuck in lane with Ignite. He's got no mana, like half HP. He's got one corrupting pot left. And now I've still got both summoners. I've got full resources. I'm in a really, really good spot right now. So now that I've achieved my first objective, what do I want to do? And this is actually tying in, I didn't actually talk about this before. This is why I also recommend teleport. Since Cassio is a very item reliant champion and quite a weak early laner, I find TP is so great. It's similar to TF. It's really good for that first recall to make sure you don't miss too much CS, just in case you have a rough early laning phase. Come back, get your first item, or stay long enough in lane that you can come back, get your first item, and then you can start to operate normally. And it's a win-win if you don't have to use teleport for the first for this first item, but you know, that's what it's a really good emergency item, summoner, sorry. If you feel like you don't need teleport, I mean, I always recommend teleport, but say maybe you're versing a Yasuo or something like that, just take exhaust. That's also fine. But again, note, it's going to be a lot harder for you to base for tier without losing a bunch of CS. Now in this specific situation, he has Ignite, and then I have TP. So now my mindset is, okay, well, I've got full resources. I just want to keep him in lane. The longer now, I'm just stacking up my tier. He's not going to be able to punish me. And Poppy has very low threat, jungle threat on me. And Poppy showed bot ganking before, so I'm all good. I'm all sweet right now. I'm super happy. And notice how I'm not letting him push it out. I'm just kind of keeping it. I don't even care that it's outside his tower. This is all so good for me because I'm just already, I outscale LeBlanc so hard. Me keeping him in lane is just so good. Me getting free laning phase is so good. So I actually ward this here to allow, because I knew Zach was heading into river, so potentially set up a gank. When you look for ganks like this, what you really want to do, and a huge tip for Cassio, is use your W, your miasma, to keep them in place. So let's just say LeBlanc walks up here. If I W and then Zach, because she can't W and she can't flash, Zach can then land his abilities and then we can chain CC. The usage of miasma in general for Cassio is I can't even say how important it is. Like, it's super important. If you just throw out your W all the time for trades and you're not going to have it to set up ganks, it's just really, really bad. You really need to be concentrating on when you want to use your miasma, and I'll show it's a perfect example in this specific trade. So I'm just keeping him on, poking him here, E. He goes in on me, and I thought that he was just going to do a short trade, but I didn't know he actually hit 6. So I thought he was just going to do a QW and pop back to here. And if I knew that if he just popped back to here, he'd be stuck on miasma and I could just chase him down and kill him because he couldn't flash. He wouldn't be able to flash here. So I actually choose to put my miasma here. But he actually hits 6. So he gets the double, he gets the ultimate on me. And we end up just trading kills here, unfortunately. I take a lot of minion damage here, which this is still really, really good for me. He uses his ignite and he loses all this farm under tower. We trade kills, which is fine, but he loses all that CS. And this is still completely fine. So, I mean, ideally, if I was a next level, if I was a little bit more next level, what I could have done is notice that looking at my XP bar, he's going to have a little bit more XP because he stayed in lane. I've maybe missed a little bit of CS. He gets 6 like that. I would have just miasma'd on the ground here. And then Zach could have just jumped onto here. And it would have been free. But anyway, it is what it is. But you can kind of get the concept here of how you want to be using miasma. But this is still really good for me. Trading kills with, like that for me is awesome. Really, really awesome. So when you're, and I didn't even have to use flash and I still got teleport. So really, really good. Before we go into this next part of this game, I recommend when you're versing a heavy, like someone who really constantly wants to damage you, whether it's like a Zoe, sometimes like Orianna or Ryze, any of these champions that like really just constantly poke you, sitting on an early null magic mantle like I've done here can really, really help you win trades. So that's something I recommend. Now notice now I get to TP top. Now I've like conserved my teleport, and now I get to teleport for free to a side lane, knowing that LeBlanc has to, look at this, the way he's still crashing, he's losing all that CS mid. I know that he can't go to this play, he can't respond, he has to go mid, he's losing a bunch of farm, so I get a free TP to a side lane here. I ward there, I focus the person, that Poppy, and Zach ends up backing me up, and then we get a really nice, we kind of just clean these guys up on the back end. Kill this Poppy, bang, and then we end up like finishing up this Mordekaiser here on the back end. Missed a Q, unfortunately, but I ended up getting a double kill. So again, you may say, oh, that's just super lucky. You happen to just TP. No, I sow the seeds of success like way in the past by playing my lane really perfectly, generating TP advantage in lane so I didn't have to use it in lane, pushing the lane out, making sure LeBlanc had to catch a wave, and then not losing much CS myself, and then you create the opportunities by playing great League of Legends. That's how League of Legends works. It's all these small wins generate into bigger wins. That's like generally how you want to be approaching League of Legends. So now I'm in a super, super good spot here. I'm scaling up. I pretty much win now all 1v1s versus LeBlanc now. I'm sitting on this null magic mantle as well. I've got decent farm here. Poppy, I know that Poppy doesn't have much threat on me. I'm 3-1. So right now, my next objective, what's your next objective? I really want to get to my Lost Chapter. Lost Chapter is an absolutely massive item spike. I love getting Lost Chapter on Cassio and working towards my Archangels. That's my goal here. And it's basically an item. My next objective is items from now on. Now we go for this little trade, and any of these extended trades I'm super, super happy with here. Like, I don't mind this. So I missed my Q here. I E, and it doesn't matter if, like, the other tip here, it doesn't matter if you don't hit them with the Q and the poison. Just E them anyway, and this is going to help stack up your Conqueror. So anyway, I'm just E, Q, E, E, and again, The beauty of Cassiopeia, especially when you get early kills, is your Ravenous Hunter is gonna be stacked up. So I heal so much from just using my abilities on the minion wave. I've used pots, yes, but I heal so much from just straight damaging minions. So it's really, really OP. And notice now I've got my tier. I don't need to worry as much about my mana conservation. But again, I don't want to be going too crazy. So any of these fights is so, so good for me here. And I use my ultimate, like I kind of failed my ultimate before, but you know, it's not a big deal here. So, I end up ducking out of vision here, getting priority, getting this this plant. So now I need to be thinking about, okay, generally when you're playing Cassiopeia, similar to Oriana, rather than just pushing and roaming this early on, you want to be kind of pinning the enemy in the lane. Since LeBlanc has to push me in and roam around the map or set up kills on me, if she's not doing that, sorry, then I'm winning. So yes, it's less effective than roaming all the time, but I kind of felt in this game, I had the feeling of, I just want to shut down Cassio. I want to continually farm up. I want to get to my lost chapter. I don't want to throw away my lead too much. So I kind of wanted to just constantly keep this, this Cassio in lane like this. And look at that. Look at this. So I know he's going to walk up for this minion here. And knowing the range of my W, I just throw out my W, get a nice little extended trade. If I had my Q initially when that trade was going on, I would have killed him. I got a little bit cocky here and flashed for him, but he ends up just escaping, which is actually bad. I actually don't recommend using flash aggressively like this. I should just have taken this trade and then let him just back off. And the reason, again, this is important, is because Cassio is such an immobile champion that having flash... Just having flash is threat in itself, because people don't want to come near you knowing that you have flash. So now that they know I don't have flash, they have a lot more threat on me. So now that I have enough gold for Lost Chapter, I quickly base for Lost Chapter, come back, knowing that LeBlanc really struggles with clearing cannon creeps. I can come back, get my blue buff, come back to lane, and now I'm absolutely popping again. So now I've got my Lost Chapter. I'll either want to be doing two things. I want to be pushing and moving and helping my sides, or keeping LeBlanc pinned and poking him under tower, knowing that it's really difficult to gank me. And then I actually see Poppy and River. It's a good habit to get into in between waves. Just constantly check this dot brush and keep it pinked, especially when you got ahead. So this, again, is going to allow me to play very aggressive. And since LeBlanc is quite a difficult champion to gank, and like generally when you're ahead, there's two options. You can let them push in and kind of keep it frozen in this position, but since LeBlanc is such a good roamer as well, I don't want to give him the space to be able to roaming into sides. So what I want to do is constantly pushing him in and me be the one who's getting to the skirmishes first. Yes, I'm not really kind of punishing LeBlanc too much here, but again, by me shoving in the wave and not interacting with him, I'm actually winning. And now we should be playing for dragon fights. We can play these river skirmishes. And I'm going to get to all these fights first. So again, a fight breaks out in the bot lane. I'm already moving down, having placed my pink in the river before. And it's looking great. I come over here, get a nice little double ultimate, bang, double freeze. Alright. Pretty self-explanatory stuff here, guys. Just stepping you through the micro. Yeah, pretty self-explanatory. Keeping them poisoned, making sure they're using your E as much as you can, stacking up your Conqueror, auto-attacking whenever you can. But not a big deal. But again, I'm 5-2 right now, absolutely popping. Got my Archangels now, working towards my Rylai's. And now, this is actually gets to a state, when you're ever in a position where you're super, super fed on Cassio, I actually fall down a bit of a rabbit hole, and I'll kind of explain what I mean here. So, I end up taking some really good trades here onto LeBlanc like this. These long, extended, heavy trades, I'm completely fine to take since I heal so much. Now with my Ravenous Hunter, he just can't compete with me in lane anymore. And I take these really, really awesome trades, again, continuously onto this LeBlanc. Poppy can't get anywhere near me. Again, it's just normal threat assessment. And in this game, I got so cocky. I just wanted to completely shut down this LeBlanc. So instead of pushing and moving, I should have really looked to... After we got this dragon like this, so I should have actually moved my pink onto topside, pinged Rift Herald way earlier, and then actually constantly roamed to kill this Mordekaiser, because he was actually pushing in this Aatrox. And this is a tip not just for Cassio, but for when you're really looking to push your lead, because I've kind of explained how you can get leads on Cassio in these sorts of matchups. But generally, you want to be identifying how are you going to push your lead. So I know that it's very difficult for me. I mean, I can slowly chip this tower, yes. That's fine. But now, given that I've got a roam off bot, I've used my ward that I set up before to get that roam off bot, secure this dragon off you know, off the back end of getting kills for my bot lane, etc, etc. Now I should be thinking, what do I want to do next? Well, this Rift Herald is the next objective. If I want to play for this Rift Herald, I should be moving my pink onto this top this top dot brush. This is also going to create more opportunities for me to potentially roam up river and kill this overextended Mordekaiser who's actually beating my Aatrox in top lane. So that's what, and instead of that, I see LeBlanc super low in mid lane, and I choose, instead of roaming top here, to just get another plate mid and constantly just poke and keep LeBlanc in lane, which is, again, another win condition because I'm getting super far ahead, LeBlanc's getting really far behind. But again, I just don't feel like it's the best way to... I don't feel like it's the best way to actually carry a game. Yes, it's good to get a lead, but it's not actually contributing as much as I can to the team. Another tip here, against LeBlanc specifically, when his clone is up, you should just use your E on his clone just to keep stacking your Conqueror. I actually get to 10 stacks of Conqueror because of his clone there. And that's just another tip, just because, you know, even if you don't land your Q or whatever, it's just a good habit to get into is constantly E targets around you just for Conqueror, even if you don't land your Q or it's a clone, it doesn't even matter. Same for Shaco, etc. And yeah, notice here, I get a plate, and I'm constantly feinting using my ultimate here. But even, it's so risky. If I miss my ult, I just don't have it for other fights. It's just not, this is just not pushing my lead as fast as I could be. And yes, I'm getting ahead, but it's not helping the team. There's fights breaking out bot, there's fights breaking out top. It's just not optimal here. So I kind of skip forward a little bit. I eventually finally realize that I'm wasting my time, and then end up roaming top and killing this Mordekaiser. But it should have been a lot. I should have done this like 2 minutes ago. And I think this is something that you guys can learn from me, my painful experience instead. But I think it's a good tip. And now again, we secure this Rift Herald, and I pick up this Rift Herald. Actually, one other thing, I remember actually thinking, why? This is actually why I was thinking the game. I really wanted to get to this tower to 2 plates, because if you get the tower to 2 plates, Rift Herald ends up one-shotting it, because it always gets 2 plates no matter what. So if you get these 3 plates first on your own, and then you get Rift Herald, and then you Rift mid, it's free. You just completely break the mid tower, and once you break mid tower as Cassio, that game's over pretty much. So then I roam top, then we get the Rift, and then I come mid instead of basing, because I really wanted to Rift mid and break it. So what I end up doing is now Rifting mid, having chipped it before, and then we just get a free tower. But now it's been so long that it's post 14 minutes that I could have killed it from any amount of HP regardless. So that was a bit of a screw up from me. And I ended up just basing, looking bot to get a TP because I have a TP flank behind, etc, etc. So I want to kind of skip forward. This game gets pretty, you know, I'm pretty fed. Now, as Cassio, generally kind of differing to other mid-majors like Orianna and Syndra, is that you're actually very good in the side lane once you've gotten to your second spike. Because Rylai's, you can kite really, really well. You can win. It helps you get like long extended trades because you're constantly slowing them and proccing your Conqueror. So that once you get Rylai's, you can really push your limits in the side lane. And especially once you've got your Seraph's Embrace, once it's upgraded. And again, once you're playing around these objectives, my next tip when you're playing around objectives like this, around dragons, you want to get there early before it spawns. And then because Cassio's zone control is so good, you want to be controlling zones. So look at this. Rather than me just starting the dragon right now, look at this. I'm queuing, and then I can just put my miasma in these choke points. It's the exact same for this choke point over here. If you know they're coming through here, you can just set up your W across this perimeter, and it's really difficult for them to walk in. And even if they see me walk in here, they know I'm in here. I can just sit here and get ready for my ultimate. It's like a little fan here. I can just fan or even just fan in this little corridor, and if they walk through, they just get an ultimate to the face. So similar to Orianna, you want to be looking to control choke points because you've got so much zone control, and you really want to make sure you're not letting them into river for free, because once they're in river like this, it's a lot harder because there's a lot more space for them to maneuver. They can avoid your poison, but in these choke points, it's a lot harder for them to avoid your poison. That's just something to keep in mind. And then I start going to the side lane, like I said here, and again, not really much I can do. Look at this. I slow this Mordekaiser, sidestep the E, proccing my Conqueror, and I just pretty much one-shot, like, you know, not one-shot, but, you know, he can't even touch me anymore. So this is, again, what you're going to be doing to people in the side lane once you've kind of farmed quite well. You know, you've gotten your 2 core items, getting quite out of control at the moment. So let me skip forward a little bit now. Pretty self-explanatory here. Just grouping with a team. Before we go into the next VOD that we go over, I think it's important to note that as Cassiopeia, generally what you want, one thing that you can catch your teammates off guard is, I remember here, Poppy was not in the vicinity. Cassio is extremely good at doing Baron. So, especially in the lower elos, junglers or teams that you're versing aren't gonna, especially when you're fed as Cassio, they're gonna underestimate the speed of your Baron. So, you can actually do Baron really, really, really fast if the jungler's not there. So, you can call for sneaky little Barons. And you can actually tank for quite a while once you've, because your Ravenous Hunter is going to be stacked up. You're going to be healing a lot. And you can even use your Saris to soak a bit of that damage. But you can actually do Barons really, really quickly. So, pretty self-explanatory here. And then we just end up playing a team fight out. Let me get to the juicy part of this team fight to explain some micro here. So I kind of maneuver around here because I didn't want to be front to back and have to walk through this MF ult. So I actually walk around the side. And then I can get onto this MF. I get a nice little Q, E, 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 bang. Next target, hit the sonar, E. Try and cut him off, hit another, actually hit that Q as well. I maneuver around here. I actually didn't think Zach was going to go in. And I come back around. One thing about Cassio is that hitting skill shots, hitting your Q is super, super important. Cassio is a very difficult champion. He's not someone I'd recommend for beginners. It's actually a champion that requires quite a lot of micro. It's quite micro intensive. So if you're looking for an easy champion to play, this is probably not the champion for you. But if you're looking for someone to actually climb and put a lot of time into a champion, Cassio probably is someone you're going to find quite enjoyable. So now what I'm going to do is go into the second VOD and kind of show you what you do in an unfavorable matchup. So jumping right in, guys, this is Cassiopeia versus Kassadin. I have a Mundo jungle, which is not optimal. This is pretty much one of the worst matchups for Cassiopeia. But I want to show you that it's not unplayable and that there's things that you can do to utilize Cassiopeia's strengths and play against Kassadin in general. So notice here I'm thinking about my level 1 plan. When I'm playing ranged into like a melee champion, I generally want to, especially when I'm not versing like a super level 2, level 3 gank oriented jungler. Echo can gank level 3, but his ganks aren't exceptional. So I know that I can build a wave into him and punish him with auto attacks. Notice how this is already going to be completely different to when I verse LeBlanc. When I'm versing LeBlanc or a ranged champion, I want to get pushed in and then I want to kind of bounce it back out. But I actually want the opposite. I want to push them in, let them bounce it back out, make them vulnerable to a gank and look for a kill on them or just reset. But so what I do straight away, I auto attack the minions. I'm constantly auto attacking the minions here to get a minion advantage. Once I get a minion advantage, I can start to build a wave. So notice already what I did there. I'm tethering Kassadin as much as I can. So I know that he wants to walk up and Q me. So look at this. As soon as he walks up to me, I walk up, I walk back, constantly tethering him, trying to stay at max range so he doesn't get free Qs onto me. Getting that range minion advantage. So once I get this in minion advantage, it's going to be a lot harder for him to walk up in Q because he's going to have to spend a lot of time auto attacking minions or using his abilities on minions. He's taken fleet footwork and teleport, so he's going the full sustain build. So it's really difficult for me to punish him. So I'm starting to get this minion advantage, which is, again, I do this at a lot of these matchups versus Kassadin. And I'm just auto-attacking, starting to get this minion advantage. And what this is going to do, as you'll see, is I'm starting to weave in auto-attack soon. Whenever he walks up, I'm auto-attacking and getting an E. Auto-attacking and looking to get an E. And I don't E there because I knew he was going to Q, so because he could spell shield my E, so I'm just auto-attacking. And then I get a nice little Q off in the back. And notice how already, this is so different to this last matchup. So different. So my goal is to push it in like this, auto attack as much as I can. I've got him to already about half HP. Auto attack when he tries to CS under tower. Auto attack again, constantly harassing him as much as I can, but constantly walking back so I don't take too much minion damage in the meantime. Now, what I do ideally is this wave should be now pushing back towards me. So I actually mess up a little bit here because I get cocky for I get a nice little deep ward. So onto the ramp. But now what I do actually do, I get a little bit cocky and hit a Q on him. But he does the thing where he sits in these minions. So if I hit a Q on him, it actually hits the minions as well. Look at this. So I get that auto attack because I was scared to Q, and then I get cocky. You'll see in a second here. Because this is fine. This is actually going to push out towards me. And then if Kassadin's up in this lane, I can potentially chase him down or potentially get a gank on him. Auto attack again, constantly auto attacking. Bang, and then see how I queue the minions, and then it actually completely screws up my menu wave because it's actually slow pushing out to me, but because I queued that, it's actually going to keep it in this position. So it was actually really annoying. That was a big mistake. But luckily, Kassadin's auto-attacking the minions a lot, so it's actually, he kind of helps me out a little bit. And a lot of people, again, they're going to do this in every elo. They're not really going to know what they're doing. They're just going to auto-attack the wave constantly. And I've burnt 2 of Kassadin's corrupting pots. I've only used 1 of my pots. Yes, this is, you know, this is still good for Kassadin because he's scaling up. But again, it'll make a lot more sense as this plays out how you actually navigate it. This is just, I'm doing the best I can given I don't have a gank-oriented jungler. I'm doing the best I can given he's taking fleet and sustaining up. And I'm in a huge counter matchup. So I'm kind of, and again, my objective still hasn't changed. I really want to still get to, ideally I want to get to my 800 gold. And notice how I'm pulling the wave a little bit here. I'm trying to pull the wave to kind of keep it outside my tower. If I can keep it outside my tower and Kassadin's pre-6, we can potentially look for a gank. And now I ping on him. Mundo's behind him like this. I'm setting this conditions up for a gank. Echo's luckily here to go for a counter gank. You know, we get a nice little bit of chunk off on Kassadin. So skipping this forward a little bit, I stay in lane for quite a bit just to get to my tier. Nothing too special here. Kassadin just pushes me in again. And so the CS is pretty much even. 40, I think, we look at the CS. I think I get my tier. He gets 6. I actually don't have to, because we both choose not to teleport, so we both have teleport. So now look at this. So, again, my objective has not changed. I want to get to my lost chapter, and what ideally I want to do now I can't build waves into him anymore. If I build waves into me, he can just chase me down the lane. Now this lane has turned into who can chase the other person down the lane the most. So now ideally I want to have the wave in this position over here, and then if he rift walks in, I can chase him on the back end with Q and E's. So look at this. He rift walks onto me. I get the Q, E, E, E. So this is what I want to be constantly doing, is let him push me in, but then chase him down the lane with my Conqueror. That's what I ideally want to be doing. And it's a little rough now because he's got Blasting Wand and I've only got Tier, so he's definitely stat checks me. And this is like the roughest part of the lane right now after first base when I have Tier, because Tier really gives you no stats. It's not a very good laning item. It's a very good scaling item, but it's not a good laning item. But I still know it's not the end of the world here. By keeping in this position, it's very hard for him to chase me down and rift walk onto me, because if he uses his rift walk here, he's going to be super, super vulnerable. The biggest mistake I see mid laners do against Kassadin is they just walk up, they go in range of his Q, take a free Q to the face, and then like get full comboed by him with an R and an E. I'm constantly standing out of his range of his R. I'm not giving him free Qs, and I'm keeping my wave in this position, so it's hard for him to chase me down. This is like a fundamental when you're versing any rough matchup, and especially Kassadin. And here we force him to rift walk away because, you know, the lane's in a decent spot, so my team had time to kind of punish him a little bit. So skipping forward ahead a little bit, he's forced to flash because, again, I've got the wave in such a good spot. And he's had to force out to rift walk so much because he didn't have much mana anymore. So this is what you can do all the time when you verse Kassadin. I have a Mundo. I don't even have a Lee Sin or Jarvan or Lee Sin. I don't have any gank-oriented jungler. It's just because I've kept the lane in such a good position and I've communicated with my team that he's gankable. And now I use this opportunity to fast forwarding a little bit here, knowing that he's I can now start to look for another reset in a second. Fast forwarding again, get my double amp tomb, nothing too special so far. And I'll kind of explain, I'm just minimizing, I'm down a little bit of CS, but me and Kassadin are quite even at the moment. He ends up choosing to teleport top, failing his gank, so we're both 70 CS right now. So he comes back to lane. So this is where it gets quite interesting. So notice how, again, he's gone this route. If he goes Catalyst, his trades are a lot weaker. If he goes Blasting Wand, he goes really, really fast. So again, it's a win-win for me. And again, the only reason I'm surviving this lane so far is that I'm not giving him those extended trades. I'm not allowing him to chase me down the lane. I'm not giving him free Q to the face unless I do this, like unless I just chase him down on the back end like that. So if I give him a Q, I'm always punishing him on the back end for it. Like that. Bang, Q, then I E, 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 like that. Next, I reset the wave, get my blue, fast forwarding a little bit. Now I'm really, really scared to take these sorts of trades because, again, I want to either completely get this wave in or let it come to me, because this is where it gets exactly this. Look at this. The one time the wave was screwed up, I got ganked and I had to blow flash. So he did the exact same thing to me. Now I had to blow flash because he had the wave on his side and he can chase me down. So notice how It's a very, we're equal CS right now. I'm actually a little bit up. But the only reason I haven't been punished is because pure wave positioning. And wave positioning is a really good way to shut Kassadin down or stop him from snowballing. Yes, he is scaling, but I'm also scaling as well. Whoever gets the first kill actually snowballs out of control. So now he's actually going to start to pump me a little bit. He's got his, I really need to get reset for my lost chapter. Once I get my lost chapter, I can actually start to win extended trades. So I base, got my lost chapter now, null magic mantle like I do against a lot of AP oriented champions, and now I come back. And now look at this. So now this is where the tricky things come into play. Look at this. I lean out of vision. If he ends up trying to get anywhere near me, because my Q range is a lot longer than his Q range, he has to RQ me if he wants to Q. Then I hit the Q on him, and now I'm happy to take the Q trade because I can chase him down with ease, like this. E. I win these trades, and he's forced to rift walk away. And if he's rift walking away, he can't rift walk on me, and it means I'm just winning the lane. I can be non-interactive with him and just kill the wave. And I'm just farming up. These trades are so good for me like this. I just outrange. He can't rift walk into me. He knows because I have Conqueror. I can just chase him down the lane. So now, I'll show you in a second. So again, if he walks in the wave like that, if he wants to take a Q trade, I take the Q trade, and he's forced to rift walk out. And this null magic mantle is actually making it a lot easier for me to take these trades. So now what I'm thinking, and this is what you can do on so many matchups to like catch people off guard. What I'm thinking is if he walks up too far, I'm gonna look for a sneaky ult. So if he walks up to CS any second like this, you can look for a sneaky ult into chain CC with Miasma. Look at this. He walks up to CS, bang, ult, Miasma, so he can't flash or rift walk, and then kill him. And this is the crux of this lane, guys. Whenever you have an opportunity, and this is what I recommend in any of these like 50-50 matchups or even tough matchups, you can catch them off guard with your ultimate like this. Ultimate, when they walk up to CS like that, bang, and they forget that you can chain CC or like keep them immobilized on the ground and stop them from flashing away. So I'm able to get a nice little kill, solo kill into the Kassadin. And I end up dying to Echo because I got super greedy, but I get my Archangels. So I'm still super far ahead of Kassadin right now. I've got 123 CS by 14 minutes. End up TPing to this bot play. I don't know what happens at this bot play. Let's see here. It's not a big deal. So let me fast forward to the bits that are replicable for you. So 1-1 at the moment. So let me see here. Again, constant either pushing him in and non-interacting and getting to skirmishes first, or like this, you'll see in a second, hiding out of the bush, getting more poke when I can, and then looking for sneaky ultimates. And again, I do the same sneaky ultimate trick again. I just walk at him, ultimate, and because I do so much now sustained damage, he won't expect it. Ults like this, bang, on the Miasma, he can't flash even when he's out of the stun, and he just dies. And yes, you can say, I mean, there's not really much to say about it. Like, you can actually replicate this with Cassio. This is like one of the worst matchups for Cassio, and you can do, and this is the type of thing you can do in any 50-50 matchup. You can play for items, the same thing, same objectives, play for tier, try and get to your lost chapter, buy a null magic mantle or a cloth armor if you need to, farm, play very, very patient, and then once you see that opportunity, you take it with your ultimate, and then you bang, using your Conqueror, sustain damage, EE, and you'll just destroy people. And now I have so much room to move. I've got that mid tower. I'm able to roam bot again and get another little double kill for my bot lane. Get a double kill Thresh here. And now I'm getting absolutely out of control. Now I'm actually 4-1 after these kills. And now Kassadin can't contest me for the rest of the game. And just to prove it again, I'm in the side. Once I go into the side lane with Kassadin here, look at this. He's got his Rod of Ages and his tier. I've got my Rileys and my my Seraphs. I didn't even have ultimate. I didn't even need ultimate in this fight. He can't beat me in extended trades anymore. So I wanted to kind of show you these two differing VODs to kind of show you the differing ways to play Cassiopeia and the importance of having a game plan. So my biggest tips, just to summarize here, it's extremely important to have a game plan. It's extremely important to play very patient as Cassio and play to your items. This is extremely level and item dependent. So you want to play nice and slow, nice and calculated. But you want to be free flow like Bruce Lee. You want to be like water. You want to adapt to every situation. Oh, the other tip, I actually had one more tip here, guys, that I think is very important. When you're in any of these skirmishes, guys, once you get your Seraphs, you find in any of these skirmishes like this, you want to be making sure you're using your Seraphs early in a fight, because Seraph actually procs with your current mana pool, not with max mana. So the longer, say you do it way later in a fight, you're going to have a smaller shield because you're actually going to have less mana because you've used it so much in the fight. So you want to be using your Seraphs, or taking into account at least how much mana you have at the current time, because then the shield will be bigger so you can tank more damage. So, and also guys, the other huge tip again is utilizing your miasma, and the timing of miasma is very, very important. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I tried to use 2 VODs that kind of encapsulate as many things as possible with Cassio. I played a metric ton of Cassio. And if you have any questions, make sure to leave them below in the comments or leave them in my Discord. Cheers. Thanks for watching.